Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tasty Trails Travel Pod. This is part 2 of my conversation with Carolina. So Caro is originally from Cali, Colombia, and has been living in Berlin since 2014, where she's been keeping Colombian food alive and accessible from thousands of miles from home. She teaches empanada workshops, hosts pop-ups, and writes recipes in 3 languages. She is the real deal. If you haven't listened to part 1, I would go back and start there first. We covered the foundations of Colombian cuisine, and today we're kind of diving more into the living culture side of things. So same caveat as part 1, my mic was not cooperating for this recording, so I apologize for that, but the conversation was still totally worth it. And again, I'm not the important one to listen to here, so. All right, without further ado, tuck in and let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if enough people know about how biodiverse Colombia is. I mean, you've got both coasts, and then I think part of the reason that it can be tough to travel in Colombia is there's so many mountains. And so, like, unless you're taking a plane, which can sometimes be really expensive, like, it's a really long way to get somewhere that isn't that far away because you have to drive around the mountain. I lived in Medellin for like 5 months.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved it. And so I did a bit of traveling, but would have loved to have done more. I found like, oh, this isn't going to be a simple, weekend getaway like I thought because of the mountains, and it just takes a little bit or takes much longer because you have to go around a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had a great time living there.
I went there 2 years ago, and I haven't been there for so long. And then the chicharrón culture, I was so surprised because in Cali we eat chicharrón, of course, but it's just amazing. Like everywhere was chicharrón and ceviche, chicharrón with this. I was like, oh my God, it was crazy. And of course, beans everywhere. I love beans. I'm a fan number 1 of beans. I love them. So, but Medellin is really pretty, and like, yeah, the food is amazing also.
My roommate, he always had like a bean day. So you soak the beans, and then you have the bean day like at least once a week where you make the beans and you're cooking the beans like all day. And yeah, it just felt like everybody had their, but oh yeah, nope, today's bean day. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and my grandma's was usually the Sundays. She always made beans. Yeah.
I noticed, and maybe this is just me like making it up or whatever, but it felt like Sundays, or at least in Medellin, I was noticing like a ton of people were eating tripe on Sundays. I don't know if that's a thing or a thing that I made up. There was like a chain restaurant that everybody went to on Sundays. They're all eating tripe.
Okay. I mean, Sundays is like normally like the family day, right? So
Yeah.
always remember that Sundays were religiously the day where we all went to my grandma, and she always cooked. And yeah, this is like the gathering. Of course, right now, I mean, they also used to go to malls and the food courts, and yeah, like this restaurant. So, but I don't know which one.
It was mondongo, so obviously maybe that's why I thought.
Of course, yes. I know. Actually, mondongo is a very traditional soup. I forgot about it because I don't like it. I have to say, I mean, because the mondongo is like the part of the stomach of the cow, and I just don't like the smell. It's just very special. It's just special. Actually, it was a dish from the colonization. If you go to Spain, you find callos a la madrileña. So that's also made from the stomach. And yeah, I don't like it. But yeah, of course, mondongo is very traditional because they have like, yeah, a lot of Colombian dishes. Yes, yes.
What would you say? I mean, you talked about it a little bit. So soup plays a really big role in Colombian culture. You're eating it with, like, it sounds like before every meal, or kind of, yeah. What role does it play in Colombian food culture?
I mean, I have to say here that because I was just growing up in Cali, I don't know if it's maybe different in another city. I don't think so. But as I told you, like always the first course is a soup. And I love them. I know there's people who don't like them, but I love them. I'm a soup person. And in Cali and in the coast, it's funny because it can be 30 degrees. Who cares? You just eat your soup very warm. It's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, we have different types of soup. And of course, for me, also, I mean, beans are also for me as a soup. Imagine they serve it in the bandeja, but for me, it's also like a soup. It depends also on the region. I mean, sancocho, you have fish sancocho in the coast, also is a big deal. You have, of course, mondongo. You have also, I mean, the traditional way if you go out of the office and you want to eat something very quick. You have like, yeah, different soup, veggie soups, or like, but they always, I think they always have potato. I have to say, you have consommé, which is really clear soup. I think comes from the French tradition of like the broth. It's like a soup with a really like really heavy in flavor, but it's clear, very thin, but the flavor is amazing. And you have it, you can do consomme with ribs or meat and some cilantro and maybe a couple of potatoes, and that's delicious. Actually, because we also have, I know that we're going to talk about the street food culture, and I have to say that we have a strong, I would call it nightlife food culture. Like you go after the party, 4 a.m., 6 a.m., you're hungry, so you go to eat. And we have this a lot of places. And we also go to the gallerias, so which is like the fruit market, or where you find all this food in the morning, but you go very early and you eat consomme. So you don't get hangover the next day, and it tastes amazing.
Oh, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, and
So
also
cute.
like caldo de pajarilla, which I don't like. We also cook a lot with the organs of the animals. So caldo de pajarilla, I think is with the liver, if I'm not wrong, of the chicken. I don't like the flavor, but it's a big thing also.
Yeah, I would love to talk about the street food. So what are Colombians eating for street food?
I mean, also depends on the region, but of course, burgers are very popular. I mean, but of course, we make them special. In Cali, for example, after you leave the party, you go to the Novena, which is like the 9th Street. That's how it's called, La Novena. And then you have a lot of like places which are open until late, mainly like fast food, but special. So you have like these burgers with really amazing sauces. So we have like pineapple sauce, which that I love pineapple sauce. And we have like maybe some cilantro mayo, like some where this tropical sauce. I love them. But I remember I went also to the Llanos, which is like the plain zone in Villavicencio, which is close to Bogota. And I remember they had the burgers, but they put a codorniz, like this small bird egg. I forgot the name.
I like the quail egg.
Yeah, I think it's like they put it over the burger, and I was like, ooh, but that's like things that changes. If you go to the coast, they have these amazing desgranados, which is like have this big plate of food, and you have the corn, but the corn, not the corn thingy, but the corn,
Not the corn, not the cob, but the kernels.
exactly the kernels, and they mix it with cheese, with costeño cheese, which is salty, with a lot of sauces, with bollo de yuca, which is something made out of yuca. And you can put it with butifarra, which is a special sausage from the coast, which is also amazing. Oh my God, I'm getting hungry. Have that, no? That is very typical from the coast also. And I mean, I know that I am missing a lot of like more street food options, but we have we have tons, yeah. But
Well, and it's impossible to talk about, all the food in the time that we have today, just because, yeah, there's so many variations and everything. What about misconceptions? Would you say there's some misconceptions about Colombian food outside of Latin America, or even outside of just Colombia?
I mean, here I have to say that is a permanent discussion I have with my husband, because normally when you go out of Colombia, and it depends on where we as immigrants are spread out in the world. I think if you go into Spain, there's a lot of Colombians, so there's a lot of Colombian businesses, a lot of like bakeries, and you get all these fried foods. So of course people have these misconceptions. That's good. Of course, I mean, we do eat a lot of meat. That's true. But like I guess like, yeah, heavy foods and meat and like fry everywhere. I think that's, I mean, kind of a misconception. Of course, we also eat a lot of fried foods because of the Africans. That was the African influence. But we do have more than that. And if you go to Colombia, you will find this amazing diversity on fruits. There are fruits that you don't find anywhere else. I mean, you were in Medellin, I don't know which fruit you found that like crazy.
Okay, so I'm not a huge fruit person.
No.
I could take or leave it. However, I was eating at least 3 to 4 granadillas a
I
day.
know. But you know that you can get them. I actually saw them in Bali. I was pretty impressed when in the hotel in Bali. I saw granadillos. I was like, okay, it's very typical from there also. But yeah, granadilla, my German husband also loved it. It's just, but it's funny because I underestimated it. When I was in Colombia, I was like, tired of granadillas, and now I miss it. You can find some, but they're really expensive. But oh my God, yeah, granadillas are amazing. You know that they call it elephant boogers. Elephant booger. Yes, because they look like a huge booger.
That's hilarious. For anybody that doesn't know what it is, it's I guess I describe it as kind of like a sweet passion fruit instead of, passion fruit is a little bit more sour, and this
Because
is
they
like
are cousins. They are family. They are they are
okay.
related. So they're like the same. I don't know what to say, but they're related. But it's like a passion fruit. But it's not even. It's not like full of flavor. It's weird to describe the flavor, no?
It's delicious. It's perfection. I don't know. But yeah, it's like it was sweet. Like 'cause you peel it and then you're eating the seeds.
You don't peel it. Remember, you don't peel it. You're like you crush it and you open.
I would peel it and then I would squeeze it and then peel it and then just like without a fork or anything, just stuck it. Yeah, straight from the tip. Oh man, good times. My mouth is watering because it is so hard to find almost anywhere else. And a lot of people haven't even heard of it. That was the first time I saw like avocados as big as my
Yes.
face. And I was like, holy crap, they're just massive, cheap. So that also, made me very happy. But yeah, a ton of you're so close to the equator and everything. So there's a lot of great tropical fruits. But yeah, I was pounding granadillas just like every day.
Yeah, I am. That's true. That's true.
And when you go back to Colombia, what's the first kind of thing that you want to be eating, or what's your favorite kind of?
I don't know if you tried it, chontaduro.
Oh no, I don't know.
Chontaduro, I think in English you will be home fruit, something like that. I don't remember. You can also get it in Ecuador, but this is a very special fruit, which is love and hate because it smells kind of stinky, but for me, and it's hard to describe because the texture is very like a potato. I don't know. It's weird. It's fiber, like weird.
But is it different? Is it different than oh gosh, what's the name? The Thai fruit that is so stinky.
No. It's very different. It looks like a kaki. Do you know kaki?
Yeah.
Kind of. It looks like it, but it's small. It's like, I have them in the fridge. Let me search. I have it. So I have a friend. Cheers to Hernan. He actually makes arepas from this fruit, which is awesome. When you go to Cali, you have to go to Chontarepa.
Oh no way!
So they're packed first, and this is the chontaduro. You see, it's not very big, and we eat them with. You have to peel it. You have to cook it. You have to cook it because it's really hard. So you need to cook it in water or boil it, and then we eat it with salt and honey. Amazing.
Oh.
Yeah. I really like it. There are people who don't. My husband doesn't like it because the flavor is special, but I love them. So, yeah.
Oh, that's quite interesting. That is very interesting. What about desserts? Any favorite desserts, Colombian desserts? Or is it mostly fruit?
Yes, we do have a lot of desserts. The thing is that I'm a sweet tooth person. That's why I'm not very passionate about dessert. But of course we have, we have special desserts like postre de natas. Okay, let me describe this. I don't know how to say that. When you boil the milk, if you boil it and then you let it stay, there is a layer of fat.
Yep.
I don't know how to say that in English. How is it? No idea.
Oh, I don't either.
Like we call it nata. So, I've never tried to make this dessert because I think it will take forever. I'm not sure. But this dessert is like a lot of these layers with milk and like sweet. It's amazing. Try to describe. It's amazing.
On top of, I was just in India and they put that on top of like lassis, mango lassis or whatever kind of lassi, but it's that part of the, when you boil the milk and you scrape that kind of layer off. So yeah, that's the thing that other cultures do as well, apparently.
Okay. This is like, it's just with milk and I don't know what else. We do have, in the coast, they do a lot of sweets tamarindo. Also, we don't have this in Cali, but it's amazing. Like you go to the coast and then you see these women selling those kind of sweets. And yeah, in the coast, I have to say they do a lot of these stuffed sweets with different fruits, which, for example, in Cali, we don't know. And also with coconut, I love coconut. So we have the cocadas, which is like a dessert with coconut. So it's amazing. Oof, yeah, we do have a lot of them. Of course, we do like a lot of desserts with maracuya, with passion fruits and the sweet stuff. And right now, when you go to Colombia, the gastronomy, there's a lot of options where you can try Colombian fusion foods, and they experiment a lot with tropical fruits. And so you find these really amazing options that are really new. And also because the point is that there is a big movement of like staying connected to our roots, like to what we can do with all this diversity in fruits. I think there is actually a guy who, because we do have more than, I think it's 2,000 type of fruits that you don't find anywhere else. And
Wow.
this guy just launched a book with all these type of fruits. And yeah, there's even fruits that we don't know. So there is a big movement about trying to harvest them again to see if we can eat them again. So that's pretty inspiring and good.
Oh, wow. That's really, really cool. I didn't know there's that
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
And what about like, so how much would you say the food is influenced by the indigenous populations that
Mhm.
were there? I know you've mentioned the African influences and, of course, the colonial influences. Would you say there's big other indigenous influences in the food?
Yes. I think, I mean, I'm not super expert on this matter, but I'm going to put an example. So the empanada we have is very different to empanada in Argentina or in Spain. So empanada is basically a dumpling, I will say, because it has like a dumpling form. It's just bigger. But it comes from the Ottoman Empire. And actually, yeah, they learned in Spain, and then the colonizers, they took it to Colombia and to a lot of countries. But the wheat came with the colonization. We didn't have wheat before. We had corn. So that's when the indigenous people, instead of using wheat for the empanadas, they started to use corn. And the African people, they fry it. Right? So that's basically how, how amazing the empanada is, like a develop of this fusion, no? But yeah, there is a lot of things we still don't know. I went to this restaurant in Bogota. I think it's closed already, sadly, but it was amazing. This guy, he was going always to the Amazonas, which I've never been there. And man, the food they have there is also super different because, of course, the state, I mean, the country is too big. In some places they don't have, it is called seguridad alimentaria. So you don't get good food sometimes, like, because they need to survive with what they have around them. And so they eat a lot of insects. They eat a lot of worms. I ate a worm. I hate them.
Did you?
Worm. Oh, yes, I did. But it was
I feel like the texture would get me with a worm. That's the part that would be a little bit.
so he. I think his name is Andres. He, man, he had these amazing dishes with all these Amazonian ingredients. And he made sauces. He made like spicy sauces made of like an insect. It was crazy. Pipilongo. I think Pipilongo is from the Pacific, but anyway, it was crazy. And he made these worms. I think they made it in the oven, and it tastes like a chorizo. I was so
Really?
surprised. Of course, he made me eat one raw and alive. I almost, yeah, because I was part of the experience, and I was like, but then when he was like, yeah, serving the food, I was so impressed. The worm tastes like a chorizo. So I couldn't say, I mean, I think there's a lot of influence on the indigenous people, a lot. I just don't, I haven't traveled the country enough. But yeah, I think in things I don't even know that I'm eating already, and I don't know, you know. So I don't want to make any like mistakes. But yeah, I guess everything that comes from the earth, you know, like the yuca, also. You know what I found that I don't know if a lot of Colombians know? Plantains. We didn't have plantain a long time ago. That was also brought by colonization because I think they come from Asia. I didn't know that. That is just crazy. And
Yeah.
now in the entire Latin America, we are so proud of our plantains because we produce really good plantains. And we didn't have them before. So that's
Now
crazy.
that you say that, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's how you
wow.
go to Vietnam and you go to Thailand and you go to China and they have tamales. Like they wrap everything in leaves. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's so true. That's really interesting to think about. How would you say that Colombian food has been received in Germany or just kind of like abroad?
I mean, as I said before, of course, there are more varieties where more Colombians are. So for the States, you find a lot of good options there. In Germany, I have to say, I mean, when I came, you didn't find there was just one coffee place slash bar that had some stuff, but now you find a lot of options. In terms of like restaurants and stuff in Berlin, I have to say there's not that many options. And I feel I'm gonna say something that can be controversial. When people go abroad, in case Colombians, I think they are not that picky with their foods. I am super picky. I mean, like I'm an empanada expert. I make good empanadas, so I'm very critical with them. But people, because I don't know, they don't eat it often enough anymore. They are just happy with some empanada or like regular, you know. So I have to say that. But in terms of like the Germans being open, I think they still don't know a lot of stuff about Colombian food because, of course, Mexico is like the main. Mexico and Peru are like the main institutions on food culture abroad. But I think they're getting there. Still a long way. I think German people in general are not very open-minded to foods, and I can say that because I was a brand manager from this Mexican brand which is called Tajín. I don't know, it's like chili powder, salt.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Amazing.
yeah.
I used to work as a brand manager for Germany, and we had a lot of hard time. Like Germany is an special country in that, like introducing a new product. I'm not saying all Germans are closed-minded, no, but if you want to introduce a product marketing wise and national wide is freaking hard. I mean, depending on the products, but I think because it's more exotic, you have to be very strategic because they're very used to their foods. I mean, here Mexicans food is really good. You can find some really good options made by Mexicans, but people who don't know Mexican food that much. So you have a lot of restaurants that are not ruled by Mexicans, but they have Mexican, like, this Tex-Mex stuff, because people don't like that spicy food. Germans, we have a term here that is called German spicy. And this is very well known. So we say, is this spicy? So it's like, it's German spicy. So I'm like, okay, then it's not that spicy. So, okay.
Right.
Sorry. So, yeah. And that is not bad. That's totally okay. Even though in Berlin, as I told you, is another country. So here you find a lot of options. I love this city because, okay, I want to eat. I love Asian food. Like, I love Asian food. I cook Asian food at home also. And like, okay, let's just go to a Vietnamese place. I go to a Korean place. Let's go to a Japanese place. It's just crazy. You can find a lot of stuff. And that's the way you also see that we have a lot of in common with a lot of cultures. And that's very impressive. In Berlin, I don't know if you know, there's a lot of Turkish people, also a lot of Arab people. So I love that we have so many things in common with them also. So it's amazing. I love food.
Yeah, and I think that's also like the fun part about discovering other cultures. You're like, oh, wait, like we have a version of that too. And being able to connect over that. I mean, I feel like every country has a version of their empanada or dumpling or, whatever. Like every culture is like, we're going to take a carb and we're going to wrap stuff in it and it's going to be delicious, no matter what they put in it or what they wrap around it. But yeah, I think it's really nice to see those different connections. And do you find it easy to find the ingredients to be able to cook Colombian food there?
Yes, I mean, of course, I cannot find all the fruits, but that's another reason I love to live in Berlin. I used to live in Bonn, which is a small city that was the capital from the divided Germany, and you don't find that much stuff there. But as an example, here I can walk 15 minutes to a Turkish supermarket and I find all the legumes, all the beans in big like kilos and stuff. I can buy the rice there. I can buy the big chunk of cilantro because I'm a cilantro lover. I love it. For good prices, you also find lemons, like not limes. I mean, we call it lemons too, like green lemons, limes. I have to have that every day. So you find yuca. I buy frozen yuca. I don't suffer from that. I do my arepas from corn. And that's also the goal from my blog, like Colombian Foodie, like to teach how you can be away from home, but also the best way to cook stuff that remind you of home. Because you can do that. You can search stuff. I don't know. I guess it's harder in others, other cities or other countries, but here is okay.
That's good. And yeah, I love that. I love that message, just because it really does bring people together and the flavors can really transport you to somewhere else for sure. Is there any special food that you make around like the holidays or anything that you're kind of eating once a year?
Very popular in December, I think it will be the lechona, of course, as we talked before, and also the tamales, which is like this wrap leaf that is also depending of the regions, like the ingredients vary. I actually made my first tamales last December. I have to still write the recipe because, man, I think it's hard. It takes too much time, but I love them. So it's basically how I did it. It was like two types of meat. So it was like pork and also chicken. And then you cook them separate. For me, also separate. You have to marinate them very, very well and different also. And then you cook them and basically you put your tomato together. It will be like corn, flour, and then you put some green peas, a little bit of potato and carrots, and then you put the 2 pieces of beef and the meat, and then you put more like guiso. It's like this sofrito, also corn, this mixture of corn, and then you wrap them and then you boil them. So
Oh wow, so much flavor.
well, them takes a lot of time. But this is very typical for Christmas. We also do, I mean, for me, it's not, I don't eat that anymore here because I live in Germany and here you know that there's a lot of poultry. They are very famous for doing really good poultry. But in Colombia, we order like these field pigs, like, I don't know, how do you say that? Like a smoked pork perniles. I don't know the name of that in English, but we do that and we eat them with some special like cranberry marmalade and stuff. But also, I mean, tamales or like lechonas. We eat a lot of, it's called Russian salad, which is it's also very typical here. We have that also.
That is so funny to me. The Russians call it Olivier, but I lived in Argentina for 5 years and they are crazy for Russian salad as well. And then the more people I talk to, that is a huge staple for them in Europe as well.
Yes.
And that's not really a thing in the US, at least the region that I'm from. And so I was so surprised that it is so popular like everywhere else.
Yes. Of course, we vary ingredients, but yes, it's everywhere. It's crazy. I like it. I don't eat it that often, but it's really good.
Yeah, that is too funny. That is too funny. There's a question that I like to ask everybody that comes on here, and that is, what would your last meal be?
Oh my God. That is too hard. Oh my God. And it's not fair. Oh my God, I don't know. Can it be a mixture of stuff on a trail? Oh God, I don't know. That's so hard. I mean, because I love a lot of type of foods, not just Colombian foods. I will say, yeah, I will stick with empanada. I love empanada and a piece of chontaduro.
What would go inside your empanada?
That would be my grandma's recipe, which was a mixture of pork and beef. She used to make this amazing empanada. So that would be with real corn, actually. And I forgot, I have to say, as a Colombian, this is very important. I didn't talk about it, is the amasijos, which is like our bakery goods. Because before the colonization, of course, there was no wheat. So we didn't have any fluffy breads. And of course, we did a lot of breads with manioc or like yuca starch. As we have a thing that is called pan de bono, like it's called like pan de queso, more or less like pan de queso that's Brazilian, but it's not the same because it's a mixture with yuca and corn. So yes, we do have a lot of these foods that you can find on the street. So I wanted to say.
So yeah, like baked goods, kind of like
Yeah,
savory baked.
we do have. also a lot of them, I have to say.
Well, thank you so much for spending so much time chatting today. Can you please tell everybody like how they can find your blog, how they can connect with you and find your recipes and all that good stuff?
Yeah, thank you so much, Katie, for the opportunity. And if you guys who are listening to us want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is Colombia_foodie_blog. And my recipe blog is called colombianfoodie.com. Then you find the recipes, not just Colombian, but more like Latin also, but a mixture of everything in 3 languages, in Spanish, English, and German. So you can have fun there looking at recipes. I have also my YouTube channel, which I'm going to start posting again because I do everything by myself. So it's crazy to do everything.
Wow.
It's Colombian Foodie and TikTok Colombian Foodie. So yeah, if you want to follow me, if you want to like, I don't know, write me a message that you saw this podcast and you have some questions, then yeah, let's stay in touch.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And I follow you on Instagram and I love seeing the different recipes and it brings me right back. So it's really nice.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Katie.
It's such a blast talking to Carolina. It brought me right back to my time in Colombia. And it's such a beautiful, vibrant country with such incredible people and, of course, delicious food. And if you've been here for both parts, thank you so much. That means a lot. If the show has brought you somewhere new or made you think differently about a culture you thought that you knew, please consider leaving a review and sharing the podcast with all your friends. It helps more people find us and share all this beautiful culture. You can find me at Tasty Trails Travel Pod on Instagram, where I'm sharing delicious food, travels, and my daily life in Kazakhstan. Other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye.